Continuing here, I'm going to go straight to current events, recent events. Alex Jones, big deal. He's being sued by a couple of former employees. And from what I understand, this stuff, the claims are pretty frivolous. But of course, the media is going to blow it out of proportion. So far, I haven't heard it reported on the mainstream media, which I'm surprised because, of course, the name of Alex Jones and Infowars is uh, in the mainstream vernacular, so they're not afraid to use the names. I mean, even Hillary Clinton used Alex Jones's name, so he's really up there in the limelight, and I admire him for that reason. He to me he's a good American, outspoken. Like I said, a good American to me is a bit cocky and a bit they come across a bit obtuse and arrogant and verbose, brutish, and cocky. And I'm not saying that those are necessarily good qualities, but it's kind of necessary to be wildly outspoken in a world of madness. So that is an aspect of Alex Jones I admire greatly. And like I said, for all intents and purposes, to my knowledge, I mean, it was his spirit that ignited my desire to be more outspoken and why I started this video series. So, in a very true sense, whether Alex Jones likes it or not, I'm kind of one of his offspring, you might say, allegorically speaking, of course, and so be it. I don't care. Popularity and all this stuff. I mean, I just don't give a whit. I really don't. I know there's one famous one. That's God Almighty, His Son Jesus, and look, all the great prophets and sages, martyrs through the ages. I mean, I could go on all day with the JFKs, your Martin Luther King Jr.'s, and just great figures through history. And there's been plenty of women too. Ruth, I mean, the book of Ruth and her compassion for humanity. I mean, this is something very crucial at this point in history. I mean, this is the kind of thing God wants to find on the earth: faithfulness and mercy and justice on the earth. Is he going to find it when he returns? He asked that question. So we should all be much more focused on that than popularity. I mean, Paul Joseph Watson, another reporter for Alex Jones that I like a lot. He brags about this popular, how popular he is, and all this. And he's right. I mean, he's a very likable guy, and he's a very trustworthy figure, and people feel like they need somebody they can trust in the news they're hearing. And reporting the news is a very important job. So he is very popular and with a lot of good people. But, popularity, I mean, let's remember that Hitler was popular, for example. I mean, it's not really a good litmus test for, it's nothing really to brag about, is popularity. We're supposed to be humble and have humility about these matters. If it turns out that our community exalts us and thinks a lot of us, that's beautiful, that's a blessing. But it can't be the driving factor. Oh, that's what I was looking for, all your accolades and adoration. I mean, no. We've got to, care more about getting the approval from the one that owns us, the one that's going to bring us, the grantor, the benefactor of true happiness. That's going to lead us on the right path. And we've got to, understand this divisiveness that has been instilled in us. We've all been trained to buy into it. We've got to get away from it. And this is one of the hooks, for Alex Jones and Infowars, that for me was this idea that he wanted to shatter the left-right paradigm. And that really appealed to me. I really, that grabbed me. And I said, this is a guy I want to watch. But it seems like he's kind of drifted away from that too much. And he needs to get back to those roots of talking, defining what it means to be a good liberal, and understand there's a big distinction. And the same thing with conservatives. We all know there's just these neocon pieces of crap establishmentarians that are just fomenting more division and more problems. They're just working against the best will of the people. They're fascists in that sense. They're working with special interest groups, colluding, private special interest groups, and with subsidies and all this crap, meddling and interfering and just making sure that the problems stay intact. That's what the neocons do. And they're crony capitalists, and they're bad liberals. People that, remember, these are just monikers. These are just labels. People bandy about. They just use it. Say, yeah, I'm a liberal. What of it? And then they do some heinous thing, and the good liberals say, I'm distancing myself from you. You're not a true liberal. And the same with the conservatives. I mean, it's just stupid. At the end of the day, we've got a lot more in common as good liberals and good conservatives that we should join together and say, put away the nonsense, and then just put these evil conservatives and evil liberals in their place under our hooves, as a footstool for our feet, and say, look, I'm sorry, but I've got to parent you. I don't like to have to do this. I don't want to be your parent, but I've got to do it. So I guess mainly it's we got to have the right spirit. I see this and I can't shut up about it. We've got to, really take it seriously, that we've got to heal. We've got to fix. We've got to care. And people have been misled by this system, and we've got to understand how, and how effective that these fascists, they say that they're capitalists and or socialists and communists, whatever they say they are, but really they are just wrecking up the joint. They're just causing problems. They're causing the wealth imbalance. They're causing the poverty. These are the kingpins. These are the evil kingpins. These evil money masters of misery I talk about. The Federal Reserve is part and parcel of these people. All these uber wealthy Rothschild class, Rockefeller class, the Bilderberg groups, all these people, these very, very devoted elitists that don't care what you think. You're just the commoner. Your opinion is moot to them. They just irrelevant. They don't care about you. They just want to just run your lives, create the policies you have to live under, just keep on making you more and more miserable, more and more, just keep on heaping more and more burden on you and getting away with it by debasing your currency. This is how we're being tyrannized, through the cost of living. It's that simple. I'm just spelling it out for everybody. It all comes down to economic stuff. All this political stuff takes a back seat to the economic stuff. And then the social stuff, of course it's involved. We'd have such a much better society, kinder, gentler, safer, happier society, okay, if we could overcome these people and see through their lies and put them under our feet and have prosperity across the board, freedom, financial security, out of the fear of these money masters of misery. Do you understand? And that's, of course, the opposite of what they want. They don't want us free. They're evil, horrible, insane, madmen. That's it. They're on the highway to hell, and they don't care. They're all in. They're all, that's it. It's no holds barred for these people. It's, to the bitter end kind of thing, a fight to the finish. And that's what they're going to get. So we just got to keep on telling them, no, I'm sorry, but, good is going to prevail in this final battle. That's it, man. You're going to be overcome once and for all. Humanity will be set free, like it's written. Captives will be set free. This is what Christians believe. And that world is going to be profoundly, dramatically, even traumatically different from this world now. So you got to ready yourself. Cultivate that reality. So anyhow, of course I digress, but it's all related. But Alex Jones is in hot water. He says he's reveling in it. I think this curse goes back to this... because for years and years he never used the GD term, okay? And he needs to consult close family and friends and get their opinion on that. So don't, call me superstitious, but that is just one thing. I think that it puts a curse, like Jesus said, it's not what goes in our mouths that defiles us, it's what comes out. So all these problems he's having, he feels like they're censoring him, they're demonetizing him, they're trying to destroy him. He's almost sounding paranoid and freaked out. But I mean, it's all true, but he's got to understand how they get that power to do these things and to cause these problems for him. And he thinks he's got infiltrators in his organization that are trying to set him up and trying to smear his name and destroy him that way. And maybe they are, because this Rob Jacobson was with him for a long time, and Ashley Beckford, these are two of the people that are suing him for various reasons. Ashley felt discriminated against, or that he was a sexist. She wasn't getting as much pay, and that he was hitting on her, and Rob Jacobson said that he was being referred to as the resident Jew, and they were poking fun at him for his Jewish roots. But of course, everybody knows Alex Jones is not anti-Semitic. He's pro-Israel. pro-Jew. I mean, it's just not Alex Jones. It's just so it's possible they're screwing around, but I mean, we screw around as people are blowing off steam. I'm not trying to defend him. I don't know all the ins and outs, but I mean, we watch South Park, and I mean, who doesn't want to screw around a little? Screw you guys, I'm going home. So we all poke, fun at people, and Christians are used to it. We get a lot of people poke fun at us. I mean, South Park is constantly poking fun at Jesus, and so maybe people are, need to grow a little skin, Rob Jacobson. But I don't know what's going on. Maybe they are, they just want to make some money, a name for themselves. Maybe they are getting paid by George Soros or his ilk to do this thing, to smear his name, try to bring him down, because Alex Jones has a big name. And he has affected a lot of people's decisions and voting decisions too. So this is a big deal, and I'm sorry, but maybe it's good that this is happening, because now Alex will be more cautious, that he shouldn't be flashing his chest. I mean, men shouldn't flash. I mean, women can get away with flashing all day long. Men don't care. Most men like it, to be quite frank and stupid, not right or wrong. I'm not going there. The point is that, but with men, you can't do that. And, even the chest, sometimes it's inappropriate. I mean, who hasn't seen that episode of Seinfeld where George walks out of the restroom in front of a group of women with his shirt off, and they're all taken aback, and what the hell is, I'm about to be sexually assaulted or offended by this guy, intimidated. But that's how women feel. So even, that could be seen as flashing for a guy to just, take his shirt off in an unexpected venue, let's say. So, but anyhow, I think I've said enough about that issue. Now we got this gun control thing, and I talk about the hearts of people waxing cold. This is biblical. In the last days, it says this will happen. I mean, this is what it is. We don't have the human contact. We've lost it, and we need to get up close and personal with people. Of course, the FBI admits it dropped the ball in this Florida shooting. And, the law enforcement admits that, they should have rushed in there and taken this guy sooner. I mean, there was one failing after another, but yet we're just going to focus on the AR-15 and say, no, we want to ban this gun, and civilians shouldn't need this, and all this and that. And I am of the mind that says, look, focus on the fact that we are supposed to have fail-safes in place to prevent this. And if somebody's unstable, like this guy, I mean, we had warnings coming out the wazoo, right, with this guy. So, I mean, the FBI was warned, law enforcement knew this guy was unstable, and his peers should have seen it. They should have stayed closer to him. I'm not blaming them, but this is what I mean. We're all walking and looking at our phones in our own little world. We're being trained to be like automatons, okay? We're not like human anymore. Our hearts are waxing cold. And it's not a good thing. Our love, that's our love. Our love is our caring about others on a very personal, individual level, is waxing cold. This, to me, is the root of the problem more than anything else. That would explain these kind of shootings and crap. I mean, it's just madness. Just utter madness. I thank God you never hear of a kindergarten so far. A kindergartner taking a gun into school and shooting up the place. Their minds just can't wrap around such evil at that young an age. But at some point, there's a disconnect, and Satan gets in there, and these demons get in there with these people, and they just have wanton hatred for humans at large, and because they hate themselves, but they, instead of just taking their own lives, like somebody that at least values their conscience would do, just say, screw it, I hate humanity, and I can't contend with this anymore, so I'm out of here, would do. They just lash out at all humans and just want to just... God knows. I mean, how in the hell do you wrap your mind and get in the head of a psychopathic mass murderer? There's no way. Even a young person that would do this is just like, what in the hell snapped? This is insane. I mean, most people, it's like, you couldn't pay me to hurt somebody on purpose. That's it. I mean, I personally don't want to hurt anybody accidentally. That's why I'm so careful. I raise my daughters to drive, very prudently. Okay, one of the most dangerous drugs you could drive on is these antihistamines that'll make you drowsy. To me, alcohol I've ever driven on. driven on, okay, like everybody has. I mean, they catch law enforcement driving on drugs and alcohol sometimes. So nobody is exempt from being stupid out there. But I taught my daughters, I said, look, be ready, okay, on a night with poor visibility in the rain and, fogged up windows, okay, and for some drunk person dressed all in black to stumble out in front of your car, okay, at an unexpected time. So if you drive with that same kind of caution, okay, then you're going to drive very carefully. And that's what I try to do. But still, I'm not exempt from the possibility that I could kill somebody, hit a bicyclist. You know how easy it'd be, somebody on a unlit bicycle, right, wrong way on the road. This is the kind of stuff you got to be ready for at night with no light.